Hey guys, and welcome back to Cruising with Matthew. So today I'm going to be starting my next vlog series talking all about my time on board P&O Azura as me and my family went around the Mediterranean in June to July 2019. So episode 1 will be talking all about Embarkation Day in Southampton. So me and my family travelled down to Southampton the day before our cruise, and this is something that I've done nearly every time I have gone on a cruise from Southampton. The reason being is because I'm based in Yorkshire, so it means that the journey to Southampton takes around 4.5 to 5 hours, including stops at the service station. Now, this means that we would be really tired on the first day of our cruise, so we always get a cheap hotel in Southampton and stay over the night before. People would use this time to rest up, wake up, mid-morning to get ready to go on Azura. However, I'd found out that there were going to be 5 ships sailing into Southampton that day. So I decided to get up at about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning and make my way down to Town Quay, which is near the Red Jet terminal in Southampton, because I wanted to see all the ships sailing in. Now, the first ship to sail up the Solent was Royal Caribbean's Independence of the Seas. Now, she is absolutely massive to look at. Now, Independence of the Seas weighs in at over 150,000 tonnes and can carry over 4,300 passengers. Now, when she was christened in 2008, she was actually the largest cruise ship afloat until Royal Caribbean's Oasis of the Seas in 2009 took that crown from her. However, as you can tell from these videos, she's absolutely massive, and it never fails to amaze me how ships this size can manoeuvre so easily, as she gently manoeuvred into City Cruise Terminal in Southampton. Now, next up was P&O Britannia. This was really special for me because Britannia was actually the first ship that I'd been on after a long hiatus from cruising, and actually was really the reason why I started this cruise vlog. And seeing Britannia, captained by Wesley Dunlop at the time, manoeuvre her way into Ocean Terminal was something that was really exciting for me. Britannia is the flagship of the P&O Cruises fleet at the moment, and although not the size of Independence of the Seas, she is still very big, being able to carry 3,600 passengers and weighing in at just over 143,000 tonnes. And with the sunrise just catching the glass of her balconies, I think she looked absolutely incredible. Next up was P&O Azura. It was so exciting to see this ship that you're going to go on in a few hours sail past you, and she looked absolutely gorgeous. It was also really exciting to see her aft balconies, which we had actually been lucky enough to get, so knowing that that was going to be your cabin was really exciting to see. She made her way past Independence of the Seas and manoeuvred round to dock at Mayflower Terminal at the end of the port of Southampton. Azura is a Grand Class cruise ship, and she is not as big as Britannia, but still a considerable size, weighing in at 115,000 tonnes and being able to carry around 3,000 passengers. So I was really looking forward to seeing what Azura was like, and I think she looked fabulous as she sailed past me. Next up was a considerably smaller ship, Fred Olsen's Braemar. Now, I have to admit, Braemar almost looked comically small as she went past Independence of the Seas, weighing in at just 25,000 tonnes and also carrying just over 900 passengers, so considerably smaller. However, I've heard lots of good things about Braemar and Fred Olsen Cruise Line, so they're definitely a cruise line I would like to go on in the future. As Braemar made her way past Independence of the Seas, the 5th and last cruise ship was arriving into Southampton, and that was Princess Cruises' Sapphire Princess. Although slightly different, she does belong to the same class as Azura and weighs in at a similar weight of 115,000 tonnes, and also has the ability to carry around 2,600 passengers. So at this point I was practically jumping up and down with excitement, and then I excitedly got my family up ridiculously early but tried to soften the blow with some coffee, which I don't think helped, but it was worth the effort at least. Largely pushed by a very excited Matthew, we left the hotel and drove to the Mayflower Terminal. Now, although I'd seen Azura sailing, there really is nothing better than driving towards the terminal and seeing the ship looming above everything else in the near vicinity. She was absolutely huge, and we were so excited. And although we arrived quite early, probably around 11:30ish, which is literally the earliest time you can arrive at the terminal, I was really wanting to get on Azura as quickly as possible. We ended up only having to wait a short while, and during that time I was able to take some fabulous pictures of Azura's bow near the viewing gallery at the very front of the terminal. In what seemed probably about 10 or 15 minutes, before we knew it, our boarding card had been called, we had checked in, and then we were going through security, and all of a sudden we were walking up the gangway and we were on board Azura. I always think during embarkation day you are constantly pinching yourself, because I've been looking forward to this cruise for many months, and all of a sudden it was happening and I was so excited. And as you can tell from these pictures, we all were pretty excited as well. Now, because we got on so early, it felt like we had the ship to ourselves, which was brilliant. As I mentioned before, we were in a heat wave at this point, so it felt like we were already in the Mediterranean. So shortly after getting something to eat, our cabin was ready, so we dropped our bags off and just explored around the ship, getting hopelessly lost as we did. We couldn't help but wander around Azura's pools, and then we also wandered around some of her interior areas, exploring some of the bars and also the restaurants. And this ship was very different in style to Britannia, but equally as exciting, and we could all tell that we were going to have a fantastic time. What I really liked was being able to find Azura's secret bow situated right at the front of the ship, just above the promenade deck. Now, this offered fantastic views over the front of the ship, and this really gave a good perspective of all the ships in Southampton. So just before our muster drill, we decided to unpack in our cabin. And as I mentioned before, we were lucky enough to get an aft balcony, and I absolutely love this cabin so much, and I kept pinching myself that we actually had got it. So we were really looking forward to seeing what this would be like. As always, before any cruise can start, we had our muster drill, which included the obligatory lifeboat selfie and all the relevant information about the cruise. And then afterwards, it was a mad dash up to the top deck, as I got the impression that Azura was running a little bit late, because shortly after we'd finished the muster drill, she was already thrusting off from the Mayflower terminal. As we got up on deck, the sail away party was in good spirits, with the entertainments team giving it their all. Unfortunately, several of the ships had already left, including Braemar and Independence of the Seas, so I didn't get the horn battle that I was expecting. However, Britannia was still there, so being sister ships of the same fleet, a significant amount of tooting was occurring, and I absolutely loved that.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if you look over to your left, the port side, you can see we've got So, ladies and gentlemen, let's do this, because they will be doing the same on Britannia. Let's do it, DJ. Let's go. Everybody put your arms out in the air like
I'm not really sure who won that battle, but I'd like to say Azura did. So that was a really nice touch. And we also had the steamship Waverley following us as well, being completely dwarfed by the sheer size of Azura. And then before we knew it, we were cruising out of the Solent, going past the Isle of Wight. And I found a really nice vantage point just in front of the gym. Although very windy, you could see the Isle of Wight in front, and also Sapphire Princess making the turn out past the Isle of Wight. We really just spent several hours, I'd probably say, having a few cocktails and just watching the world go by before we made our way back to our cabin to get ready for our first evening on board Azura. After quickly getting changed for our first casual night, I couldn't help but spend most of the time before dinner really taking in the aft wake views from our cabin. And the wake is honestly my favourite view, so you will probably see in this vlog series a lot of wake pictures. After my mum and Zoe, my sister, tore me away from that view, we made our way up to dinner. Now, we opted for club dining and second sitting, which meant that we were at the same table at the same restaurant each time at 8:30, which suited us really well, so it meant that we were able to have a drink just before we had dinner and made our way to the restaurant. Now, after a gorgeous meal, we decided to make our way to the theatre for our first taste of the Headliners Theatre Company on board Azura. Now, for their first performance, the Headliners Theatre Company was showing Evolution, which is set in a fantasy futuristic world between two unique tribes. This was probably one of the most unique performances I've ever seen on a cruise ship, and I was blown away by it. And the standard of the choreography and the singing that we got to see really showed that we were going to be in for a treat throughout the rest of the cruise. So we couldn't wait to see what else they had to offer. However, by this time I was absolutely exhausted. So we decided to go to bed after a very long but a very exciting day, looking forward to our first day at sea as Azura sailed across the Bay of Biscay. So, that was my first episode in my P&O Azura vlog series, and I really hope that you've enjoyed it. In my next episode, I'll be talking all about our first few sea days as Azura made her way towards Cadiz in Spain. I really hope that you enjoy this vlog series, and I hope it's a welcome distraction from all that's going on at the moment. If you've enjoyed this episode, do make sure that you like and subscribe. I also have a full vlog series talking about my time on P&O Oceania this year, so do check that out if you'd like. If you have any questions, please comment below and I'll do my best to answer them. And if you want to know more about Cruising in Matthew, then take a look at some of my social media sites, including Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and a Facebook group. I post in there daily, so I'd love to see you there. So until next time, this is Cruising in Matthew, and thank you so much for watching.